its tracks in the U.S.
The U.S. reports the first case of the deadly Ebola virus in North America. Thousands of protesters thronged the streets of Hong Kong while China marks an uneasy National Day ceremony in Tiananmen Square. And Humber elects a new student president after a troubled election process. Hi, and welcome to Humber News. I'm Victoria Shaka, coming to you from our newsroom here at Humber College North Campus. The first case of Ebola has been diagnosed in North America. A patient in Dallas, Texas is in isolation after contracting the virus. Doctors say the individual traveled from Liberia last month with no symptoms. He went to the hospital days later. Dr. Thomas Frieden from the Center for Disease Control says he's certain the virus will not spread. Officials here have been preparing in case the virus reached North America. Meanwhile, in Liberia, Doctors Without Borders is expanding care as resources allowed. The World Health Organization says more than 3,000 people have died in Africa since the outbreak began. Protesters are out in full force on the streets of Hong Kong, while the rest of China celebrates National Day. Student leaders say they will storm government offices unless the head of the territory resigns. The protest started Sunday after Beijing decided candidates for the 2017 election must be approved by the government. Meanwhile, in Beijing, a ceremony in Tiananmen Square commemorated 65 years since the founding of the People's Republic of China. Two more countries, Turkey and Australia, have joined the U.S. in its fight against the militant group ISIS. Australian fighter jets will join the U.S.-led coalition in airstrikes against ISIS. Last month, Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott sent 10 aircraft and 600 personnel to the United Arab Emirates in preparation. Turkey says it may send troops into Syria or Iraq and let allies use Turkish bases. The search for survivors of the Japanese volcano eruption has resumed. The recovery mission has been called off for fears that Mount Ontake would erupt again. This amateur video shows what happened when the volcano erupted. Hundreds of people were trapped on the mountain. Officials estimate that more than 40 people have died. Here at home, Humber students finally have elected a new president for the Humber Student Federation. Humber News reporter Patrick Valois has the details.
Last night at around 5 p.m., all the candidates sat around this table waiting to find out who will govern the HSF for the next year. The results showed 18-year-old Tom Walton won the presidency with 39% of the just over 2,100 votes that were cast. Walton remembered the journey to his presidency and the moments following the announcement.
I'm just a small-town kid, born and raised in New Brunswick, and went to school with 400 people, and now I'm at a school of 27,000 plus students. So it's incredible.
But the election didn't go as smoothly as the HSF would have hoped, especially after last year's debacle leading to this by-election.
Humber News was in contact with HSF officials hours before voting booths closed about an IT issue that was preventing some students from voting, an issue that wasn't resolved until a few hours before voting ended.
The candidates we spoke to didn't find out about the issue until the votes were already counted.
Yeah, I mean, we are the Humber Student Information and Technology. Should probably get that technology up and running.
Yes, I actually heard about that just literally half an hour ago. So I do have to look further into that, which is pretty interesting, but there's definitely some issues that are around that situation.
It's unclear when his first day will be, but Walton is excited to get settled into the presidency. Patrick Valois, Humber News.
Big signs of progress today at the front of Humber College. Construction on the new Learning Resource Commons has taken a major step forward. Workers began removing the hoarding covering the sidewalk in front of the building this morning. Humber News' Travis Pereira is there and joins us live with the details.
Thanks, Victoria. Well, as you can see behind me, the construction site for Humber's Learning Resource Center is sort of getting a facelift. Scaffolding attached to the south side of the work site is going to be coming down over the next 2 days. This morning I chatted with Humber's director of safety, Rob Kilfoyle, and he says there were meetings last week with PCL site supervisors to discuss the safest way to go forward with this operation. Kilfoyle says the scaffolding will be removed between 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. in order to minimize the amount of disruption to campus activity during the busiest times. He says, along with the perimeter fence that will be 8 foot tall, there will be signs warning students to take another route. Kilfoyle says the scaffolding is coming down because the project is moving to the landscaping phase on the other side of the building. He says things are progressing well, and it's important this starts before the winter weather rolls around. Once the work is done tomorrow, this area of the site will be sealed off until spring of 2015, when the LRC should be ready for Humber students to explore. Travis Pereira, live from the North Campus parking lot. Now back to you, Victoria.
Thanks, Travis. The Ontario Science Centre was filled with would-be astronauts this morning with stars in their eyes. Humber News reporter Adriana Jung was there and has a story.
Students were in for a treat at the Ontario Science Centre. NASA Administrator Charles Bolden stopped by today while visiting Toronto this week to talk to high school students. Students heard an inspiring speech about the challenges he overcame with the help of education.
I thought it was really inspirational, like him coming from the segregated South and like getting to where he was really gave me some motivation to do something with my life.
Bolden says science research is relevant because it can help us understand life, a statement that resonated with students.
So if we don't bother looking forward at things that we need, then we just end up staying and having war like with ISIS. We need to find things that can help, and science is the answer to that.
Dr. Maurice Bertrand, CEO of the Ontario Science Centre, says science is important to our survival on Earth.
This world depends on science. You're using a camera to record this and microphone. Technology is all around us. We need to understand science to be able to live in this world.
NASA Administrator Charles Bolden moved the hearts of many young students today here at the Ontario Science Centre. He delivered a clear message that the key to success is to study hard and to work hard. Adriana Jung, Humber News.
When we come back, we'll tell you what's happening in the world of sports, and Rebecca will have your 3-day forecast.
It's not summer weather anymore. As you can see, it's currently drizzling outside, and I forgot my umbrella. I hope that before you guys leave your house today that you remember yours, because it's going to rain this afternoon. We'll have more on the 3-day forecast after the break.
The Raptors head coach says the team is starting from scratch this season with lots of changes in store. We'll have all your sports after the break. But first, these cute cubs have stolen the show on China's National Day. 9 baby pandas made their debut at a giant panda breeding base, capturing the hearts of tourists from all over the country. Although they're not walking just yet, the zookeepers will be taking extra precautions to keep them safe.